up, YouTube? Welcome back to another League of Legends video. Alright, so today we're just hopping off the interactions train and we're heading back to our boy Necrits. We're just gonna learn more about more stuff with Necrits today. Today we're just gonna find out the top 10 most powerful weapons. We're gonna see what our boy Earn be fucking forged, because we know Earn is a freaking forge man. He makes all the weapons, all of the he made Brahm's shield, the shit that Sejuani has. I fuck, what they call those weapons again? Trueborn, True Ice. Oh Jesus Christ! I don't even fuck the ice weapon that Sejuani has. All of the friggin' mythical weapons that are inside of the game. Our boy On forges them. So we're just gonna check out the 10 most powerful ones today, and we're just gonna see what happens. Yeah, we're gonna see what he has for us today. So I just hope everybody's feeling good. I just hope all of y'all are just fantastic today, man. Be fantastic, stay fantastic, feel good about yourself, man. And let's watch some videos. So let's hop in. Yeah. Let's dive in to some. Oh boy, yo, this guy is a fucking legend.
As we are waiting for something
it's
special
cranky.
to
Yo,
come
my
to
boy
this
had
channel,
a static shock shit on his chest.
The 26th of October.
Huh?
We have some time to talk about another fun
26th of October.
Last time we had a chance to compare the power levels of all
the champs. Kindred being number 1.
We are going to look at the tools that made those champions powerful in
Come on!
The weapons. Now, if you are not aware, League of Legends has a lot of unique weapons in its universe.
Yes, it
so
does.
we could easily make part 2 or even part 3 of this video. Nevertheless, today we will have a look at 10 of the most legendary weapons in League of Legends. But first, we need to set some rules.
Bro?
I don't count magic as a weapon. So world runes or massive scrolls of power don't count. Also, even though we could talk about them in part 2, I will not talk about the Darkins in this video. Not directly.
Big
You
boy.
will see what I mean when we get there. So now, without further ado, here are 10 of the most legendary weapons we can find.
She was inside of the Legends of Runeterra.
Since the legendariness of a weapon is really hard to rate, these are in no particular order. So, at number 10, we have the Trident of the Ocean King.
Trident of the Mirror King.
This is a legendary tool that was crafted by Ornn. During the days when Ornn was just working on his own creations in the mountains of the Freljord, he used his favorite tools, such as his favorite hammer, which he has to this day, his spade, which he used to dig the Howling Abyss, or his fork, which he threw away after his battle with Volibear. According to the legend,
so my boy
he turns to the east.
So Earn was the one who freaking who dug up the who dug the fucking Howling Abyss so that the fucking watchers can get fucking locked away.
And threw his favorite eating fork as far as he could. It landed in the Great Sea. Some say later a Merking found a powerful trident at the sea bottom and still uses it to rule his kingdom.
So that's his.
A Merking could be a nod to the Mirage, especially since if you have a look at the staff of the Tidecaller, it does somewhat look like a trident. So there is the theory that could be the fork. But it is also possible that it would be the other only champion who actually wields a trident. It is possible that the fork which Ornn himself used to eat with is being wielded by Fizz.
Come on, bro!
We simply don't know where the truth lies. But we know that somewhere in the world there is a fork or a trident crafted by the Freljordian demigod Ornn. Number 9, we have to talk about the Gloves of Nezuk. If you are not aware who Nezuk is,
Ezreal, he uses it.
You should get familiar with him because he is one of the major side characters. So this is definitely one of the characters that Riot will bring back at some point in the future. His story is explained in Malphite's story. You see, Nezuk came from the ancient Ishtar, back during the days when Shurima was a prospering empire. Unlike the Icathians, who would soon rebel against the Empire, the Ishtali were Shurima's allies. And they were so friendly that the most powerful mage of Ishtar, known as Nezuk, was allowed to undergo the Ritual of Ascension. Just like the others, like Nasus and Renekton,
come on, boy, Azir
being Shuriman,
yo, my boy looks swaggy, yo, my boy looks tough.
This amplified his powers by an insane amount. That's why when Icathians did rebel against Shurima, and they allowed the Void to devastate their kingdom, Nezuk was the one who started figuring out how to deal with the Void. Using his elemental powers, he constructed a massive floating metropolis, on which he floated above Icathia, above all the Void Rifts, and he started shooting magic down at the Voidborn. Unfortunately, the Void was still far more powerful, and so it lashed back with its anti-magic and destroyed Nezuk's ultimate creation. The story ended with Nezuk fleeing for his life. The story actually stated that he did survive, but he ran away. So it is possible that he is still somewhere out there. Now, I know I said that I don't count magic as a weapon, but Nezuk's gloves, which amplify magic, and they are wielded as a weapon, have been lost somewhere during the process. That was until the day Ezreal found one of these gauntlets.
So my boy have one of the most powerful weapons in his hand, and you don't even know how to fucking use it.
He found them in the tomb of Nezuk. So his story seems to suggest that Nezuk did die later on, but we've seen characters resurrected before.
Yeah, that's
true. Anyway,
true.
The point is that these legendary gauntlets, at least one of them, is being wielded by Ezreal, who is not sure how.
So there's two. So what? Imagine if my boy has fucking two gauntlets, yo.
How to fully unlock its power, but he still uses it to cast interesting spells. Regardless, the other gauntlet is still somewhere in the world.
Gotta
it
get
is
that
only
shit,
when
bro.
the two gauntlets are united that the true power Nezuk held is unlocked. This story was purposefully kept open so that one day Riot can return to the story of Ezreal and...
So, basically, Riot will have my boy wielding both fucking gauntlets. Yo, my boy gonna be fucking... Picture my boy in game with... What the fuck?
At number 8, we have Drakebane.
Oh, that's
Drakebane is the name of the lance which Jarvan is holding.
Come on,
this name was revealed in the story Aftermath, where Jarvan was slowly turning mad from grief after his father, Jarvan III, died. There he was practicing his skills with weapons against Xin Zhao. It was supposed to be some friendly sparring, but since Xin Zhao was supposed to be the one to keep the king alive, despite being great friends, Prince Jarvan was still pretty angry at him. And so, randomly during the battle, he threw away his sparring sword and he picked up Drakebane. Thankfully for Xin Zhao, he is one of the best fighters in Demacia.
Come on!
Else would have been killed by Jarvan during that training. We know that Prince Jarvan got Drakebane from his father on his 16th birthday.
That shit behind there,
look how fucking Aftermath big that actually gives the weapon some really great story. Here's the quote. Wrought to defeat the great Frostdrake Maelstrom and her progeny who had plagued the early settlers of Demacia in ages past. It had long been a symbol of a royal line. In truth, the secret of how to fight with it had been lost in the reigns of the first kings of Demacia, and in unskilled hands, it was as deadly to its wielder as it was to the enemy.
So that's a double-edged sword.
It had been little more than ceremonial, an icon of the ruling family. However, when the prince was still just a boy, he had dreamed of fighting with it, like the heroes of the old he idolized. And so, Xin Zhao had promised to teach him when he was ready.
Picture Xin Zhao actually wielding that fucking Drakebane, yo. My boy would be so fucking...
As you can see, even though over the years Jarvan did learn how to fight with it, even though it is incredibly dangerous even to the one who wields it,
the
art of using it in battle was forgotten. So these days, no one really knows how they should be fighting with it. It is an incredibly complex weapon that prolongs itself as you fight with it. Drakebane is truly a legendary weapon unlike anything else seen in this world.
Yo, the thing about these weapons in League of Legends, nobody knows how to fucking use them.
At number 7, we have to talk about the Blade of the Ruined King.
Viego!
Now, unfortunately, we don't have too much
yo.
info on the Blade, but those who have written Viego's story did give us some hints. So, just know that as of right now, before the release of the Ruined King game, which might go into details on this. What I am about to talk about has not been directly confirmed on Universe. This is just from the info we got on the social media.
Okay, bro.
The Blade of the Ruined King has a very unique ability. It consumes a portion of a soul of the one who wields it. It is supposed to symbolize a sacrifice of the wielder. And because it is passed down between the rulers of Camavor, it also symbolizes the king sacrificing a piece of their soul for their kingdom. Now, the reason why this is important is because this ability is what kept Viego alive. You see, when Viego died, he was stabbed by his own blade. The blade that held a piece of his own soul in it.
So you got
this
it back.
meant that because he was standing in the holy waters of the Blessed Isles, which are supposed to keep things alive, and because he died being pierced by his own swords, it resulted in the fact that Viego died being stabbed by his own blade, but he was kept alive by his own soul being maintained in the holy waters. Under these circumstances, Viego died, but he did not. That's really the ultimate root of the Ruination and the Black Mist. I assume we will learn more about this in the game The Ruined King, where Thresh will likely talk about the origins of Viego and Thresh's ultimate plan. But for now, just know that the Blade of the Ruined King is unlike any other weapon. It has hidden abilities which many may not even know about.
Nobody knows about the nobody knows how to use the weapons, yo.
Hammer of Orlon.
Papi!
This was the first legendary weapon to be ever written for
the Hammer of Orlon.
The Hammer of Orlon is iconic for Demacia. Orlon was one of the very first settlers who founded Demacia. And he is the one who befriended a small Yordle called Poppy.
Poppy, yo, look at Poppy's face, yo.
Orlon himself got the hammer from. But he himself knew that the hammer had a unique power, which was only unlocked when it was wielded by the person for whom it was meant for.
Come on!
The logic behind this was never...
And the thing is, Poppy has been looking for whom the weapon, who's like searching for the person. This hammer belongs to you. She probably going around say, see if this hammer can work and shit. And she was the one who the hammer was meant for this whole time.
Really explained. We just know that the hammer came from somewhere and it was crafted for someone. And the story was about find the one for whom it is.
Yes.
So after Orlon died, he passed the hammer to his squire and his best friend,
Poppy.
And now Poppy was tasked with the quest to find the right wielder of the hammer.
She already found
her. It seems like she is the
rightful
wielder.
Come
Every
on,
time
bro.
she passes the hammer to some other knight who seems worthy of it, they immediately die.
Oh shit!
And when it returns back to Poppy's hand,
come on,
she suddenly gets stronger. With the power of the hammer.
But come on, Poppy, come on. I mean, Yordles are like, they're a bit, cuckoo, but Poppy, you should have already known that, bro.
Seemingly being the ability to literally split the earth in two.
Jesus.
That's where Poppy's ultimate comes from.
Yeah, that's when she slams down
the hammer of Orlon. But where that hammer comes from, we still don't know.
Nobody fucking knows, man.
Next
Nobody
up we have
knows.
a weapon which a lot of you will not know about. It is a weapon that does not have a lot of lore behind it, but it is very unique indeed. And this is the Netherblade of Horrok.
I don't know the one.
By Kassadin.
Netherblade of Horrok. I don't know.
The story of Kassadin. He is the one whose daughter has fallen into a void rift, and he's the one who decided not to just accept it, but he traveled around the world. He looked for the blessings of all the mages and shamans he found. He picked up all the different pieces of equipment he would need, including the breathing apparatus from the Zonite engineers. And he did all of that just so he had a little bit of a chance of surviving in the void. And his bio even mentions the weapon, which was the last item he picked up on this journey. Last of all, he stole the infamous Netherblade of Horrok, the sword that had slain 1,000 deceivers in the latter days of the Empire. He could feel the cold pull of oblivion on its edge, but no longer had any regard for his own mortality, and nothing of...
What kind of so he gathered all of this stuff just so he can survive a little bit long inside the Void Rift to go and get his daughter right, but his daughter is probably already dead. I mean, he probably wants her body.
Of his old life left to lose. So this is an ancient weapon from the times when Shurima ruled the continent. Even though it seems to be some kind of an ascended weapon, it was also able to tame the power of the Void. Which likely means that this weapon actually originates from the Icathian Mage Kings. Because Shrimans themselves would be very much afraid of using the power of the Void.
Exactly!
But the Icathians were not afraid.
Because the Icathians actually wanted to use the Void.
Which allows people to wield the power of the Void, likely comes from the place that was doomed by the Void itself. At number 4, we have Nightfall. Another one of the very first legendary weapons
Mordekaiser!
in League of
Mord! Big boy!
Nightfall
Fucking Mord! Yo!
He's
a miss!
By Mordekaiser.
Come on!
If you know anything about Mordekaiser, you know it was not crafted in a traditional way.
Yo, look at the fucking
When he was
spikes!
alive, he was the one who somehow managed to construct the Immortal Bastion. A construction so massive, we still have no idea how
he did it.
In fact, no one knows. So,
yo,
of course,
only him.
After he died, and after he willingly just decided to be the god of death, of course, he had unique ways to craft his own new undead empire.
Fucking Mordekaiser,
He is
yo.
simply turning the souls of the dead into physical items. And so, after you die, and after you see the massive undead kingdom of Mordekaiser, just know that every single brick of his fortress is crafted from souls. And his mace, Nightfall, is no exception.
That's when he was saying, like he was saying, only those are, only few are worthy to meet, have the kiss of Nightfall. He's talking about his fucking weapons. He was smashing in your fucking face.
It is a brutal metal weapon that was forged with the souls of the powerful mages who first brought Mordekaiser back into the physical realm.
So my boy fucking, so my boy, my boy.
The first ever worshippers of Mordekaiser were turned into Nightfall. A brutal legacy for a brutal warlord.
Brutal.
At number 3, we might have the most iconic weapon in
Jace.
League of Legends.
This has to be Jace hammer.
The ruined blade of Noxus.
No. Okay,
this blade has not
Riven.
seemed to be special
because it plays
for
like
a
fucking
very
Jace.
long time. Everyone knows that Riven got it after she was forced to join the Noxian military. And after she proved to her Noxian commanders that her skills with the sword were incredible. And so, back when Borem Darkwill was still the leader of Noxus, the Noxian mages crafted Riven her own special sword. That was massive in size, but light as a feather. Perfect for Riven's skills. This doesn't really make the sword unique though. And it was only after Riot released the Sisterhood of War series that we truly learned what's so special about the blade.
Come on,
and
girl,
why
rocking
Riven
the
is
baldy.
so afraid of it. At the very beginning of that series, we learned that a mysterious hooded figure, very likely LeBlanc, sent Riven's old
I was just about to say LeBlanc,
who was hiding in Ionia, to find her and recover her blade. We don't really know why LeBlanc is so desperate to get it. But if LeBlanc herself is desperate to get something, it has to be powerful beyond imagination.
Yeah, because she wants all
she's the one who has been casually dealing with Mordekaiser and locking him beneath Noxus.
Yeah.
So that should tell you how much power this sword has to have. Regardless, after Riven deserted the war, she found a small village where people were using the legendary wind technique. Enter Yasuo story. There, the master of this wind technique was able to break the sword, but as he broke it, he died himself.
Oh, so that's how we fucking died. So that's why Riven has been. Oh, fuck. Yo. What?
Riven's horror. She realized that the sword couldn't be truly broken. It couldn't be destroyed. Yes, it was now in pieces, which, to quote one of the rune masters of Noxus, it shouldn't be even possible. But the peculiar thing is that in this somewhat broken state, the blade can always willingly snap back together. Whoa. And so even though Riven tried to hide the different pieces of the blade in different places, once her old companions came for her, all she had to do was to lift the hilt, and the pieces would snap back together.
So everything just
This is where Riven's ultimate in-game comes from.
So
the blade was likely crafted by the Black Rose, one of the most powerful organizations in Runeterra, and it is now desperately being hunted for by LeBlanc. with its greenish power to dissolve skin, flesh and bone. This is not a blade that should be wielded by just...
Picture Mordekaiser had this fucking blade. Light as a feather, but my just... What the fuck? Yo!
Number 2. If you have seen our list comparing all the champions, you know I have a soft spot for Master Yi. So of course, we have to talk about the Vuju blades.
Vuju!
The Vuju blades are
Master is peak human ability.
very unique, because despite who they are crafted by, they carry a very special enchantment. In Master Yi's story, we learn that the majority of the Vuju blades are made by Doran. Yes, that's the same guy responsible for the in-game items. After Doran crafts these masterful blades, a few times a year, he carries them to a sacred place hidden in Ionia. There, he writes a poem and hangs it on the blade. This allows the local spirits to give the blades a blessing.
Wow.
Here's the catch. This sacred place is Mistfall, shown in this art on Universe. You can see the blades here with the poems hanging on them. And
okay.
is that Mistfall is connected to the very first mortal war of Runeterra. It is connected to the very first Vastai Shirei who ever walked this realm.
Wow.
And it is the spirits of those beings who infuse the blades with their power. The creators of the Vuju technique enhance those blades. This blessing is so powerful. Different smiths actually give their own blades to Doran, together with the poems,
so that
blessed. Doran could go to Mistfall, plant the swords there, sometime later he would pick them up and return it back to the original smiths.
Wow.
Interestingly enough, the poems you write on these blades can also be all over the place. There is one written by Doran's friend, Moria. Blind faith ruins minds. Blind loyalty ruins lives. When the butcher's knife strikes the ground, all are wounded and the self is destroyed. This comes from a legendary smith who often sells their blades on black market.
Oh shit.
But young Yi also had the chance to read a poem which Doran wrote himself.
What's that?
No wars today, just a sip of wine to wash down
duck eggs. Tasty yum.
Yep, not the most poetic under the sun, but even this was enough for the spirits to give the blades their blessings.
Come on!
Actually, I highly recommend looking into the story of Doran. The blades are almost as legendary as
Doran's
the Vuju
blade.
technique itself.
I think that's not item in the game. Doran's blade, isn't it? Because they said freaking Master Yi was so fucking badass. That like when the war was happening with Noxus and Ionia, my boy slayed. Shit! My boy slayed over 1,000 fucking people. Just him. What the yo, he has to what the
And at number 1, we have the Chalikar. The crossed blade might be the most legendary weapon.
Sever!
Of course, I'm talking about the crossed blade that is currently being wielded by Sivir. Originally, people thought that, yeah, it was just a blade that was somehow connected to the original empire.
This is what used to fucking bring back Azir.
Key in the tomb where Azir was resurrected.
Yes!
But there is a reason why this blade specifically was the key to the tombs of the emperors. It's because this blade holds a lot of
Darkin!
Originally, the Chalikar was wielded by Setaka, who was the warrior queen of the Ascended host. In other words, she was the leader of the Ascended.
Okay.
After her death, after she was ripped apart by the Voidborn, the blade was safely locked away until it got into the hands of Twilight. Twilight, who back then was Maisha and not Zoe, then got fed up with all the Darkin that were ravaging the lands. And so, the aspect of Twilight itself...
So that's when so this was the tool that she used to trap the fucking Darkins.
Decided to deal with the Darkins themselves. This was all explained in the story called The Twilight of the Gods. We knew before that it was the Twilight who taught mortals how to use its celestial powers to banish the Darkin. But this story explained that it all happened because of the Chalikar. Here is a quote from the story, where Tanori, an Ascended who was turned into a Darkin, held the Chalikar, as he was instructed by the Twilight. With the last of his strength, Tanori rammed the Chalikar down into the crystalline floor of the amphitheater. The sound was deafening, like a hammer blow against the veil of the world. The cracks from its impact spread further than they should have, and the clear sky burned with the diamond brilliance of a newborn star. But this was no golden radiance. This was cold, merciless silver. What the sun made, the moon will unmake, screamed Tannery. And a blazing column of white fire stabbed from the midnight sky. It struck the Chalikar's extended arms and deflected the fire outwards, drawing in the god warriors and piercing their chests. It burned them,
that's the fucking
into the arcane heart of their being, and devoured the magic that made them. Even as his skin slowed from his bones, Tannery wept to see them die. They were his brothers and sisters, and not even centuries of the most brutal war imaginable could make him hate them.
That's fucked, yo.
So
because
as you can see in this scene, the
so it was a oh fuck! It was the fucking ascent. So it was an actual ascended who fucking sealed the fucking
Chalikar consumed the Darkin. It absorbed their souls.
Yeah.
And unfortunately for Tannery himself,
he
who
died.
Did follow the orders of the Twilight, he got betrayed. And he was consumed by the Chalikar as well.
That was too
After
powerful,
absorbing
bro.
all the present Darkin, the Twilight then gave the Chalikar to the Shuriman weaponsmiths, so that they could use the power stored inside to seal the remaining Darkins. So, the crossed blade that really seems to be just a boomerang blade being wielded by Sivir is actually the key to wielding the celestial power to seal all the Darkin. What Sivir is holding may be the only weapon in existence to stop the God Slayers such as Aatrox.
What the fuck? What I'm fucking wondering is like how in the actual Rastafari is Sivir using that fucking weapon? I mean, Sivir has to be fucking badass. Sivir has to be extremely strong because if she's a normal human and she's just wielding that and just throwing it around and just killing fucking people, she has to be fucking strong because that shit. Remember the Ascend? It was an Ascended who locked away the fucking other Ascended who turned into fucking Darkins, and he died in the process. So, yo, these fucking the only weapon I don't know there is the one for Kassadin, the Nuruk, the legendary blade of Nuruk. I don't know that one, but the rest, come on, man, you already know what time it is. Your boy got this shit in lock. God, fuck! Yo, it feels so good to like when you see weapons and you're like, oh fuck, this is especially Poppy. I love fucking Poppy, yo. Come on, man, I feel good, yo. Come on. I just hope everybody enjoyed the fucking video, man. But everybody who's here, I appreciate it. I appreciate it so much. Thank you so much for being here, man, and thank you so much for coming and watching the video. If you made it this far, you my boy, you my girl. Come on, we're just here, man. We're just here chilling. So until the next video, peoples, peace the fuck out.